This is a happy day. Some time ago, Tim Worsler, I believe it was, discovered that this program was offered, I think, for the first time in Delaware County. And at that point, the group, which you will meet here shortly, did not have enough funding to fund a second trailer, but did express interest in potentially placing one here should that be the case. I think that sometime later, one of you did reach out to Tim and indicate that funding had become available and that this was a possibility should the board be interested, which we brought this item to you and you expressed interest. And then John certainly was interested in making this happen. So I'll maybe turn it over to them to describe exactly what the pet disaster relief trailer is, kind of what the genesis of it was, and what the hope and goal to have this kind of a great resource available to not only Stark County, but surrounding counties in Northeast Ohio.
And gentlemen, maybe you could introduce yourselves and also tell us what organization you are from. And,
I'm Joe Caton from Columbus, and I'm here to represent the Mastiff Club of America, who was one of the donators for the trailer.
My name is John Carlson. I'm the Vice President of the Central Ohio Kennel Club in Franklin County.
My name is John Green, and I'm the delegate to the American Kennel Club for Central Ohio Kennel Club. And I have chaired the fundraising in Ohio for AKC Reunite, the charitable arm of the American Kennel Club. And I actually was at our National Championship Dog Show 2 years ago in Orlando and happened to see one of these trailers, and I stopped by and they asked me where I was from, and I said that I was from Ohio, and they said they hadn't been able to get a foothold and do anything to place these, and asked me if I would take a look at it and see what we could do. And I had a few mistakes along the way. I started at the state level and found out that for us it was a big deal, but for them it was small potatoes. So I started to rethink it, and I started at the bottom. And when I first went to see the Delaware County Commissioners, the first question was, well, what's the catch? There is no catch. We are donating these trailers. They are what any attorneys in the room will know that this is what we call a completed gift. We're turning it over. It belongs to you. You get to deploy it. You own it. We learned about the need for these kind of the hard way with Hurricane Katrina. We had roughly 70% of the people who needed to be evacuated who would not leave their pets. This received national media attention. The end result was a bilateral effort to pass Public Law 109-308, which then became called more commonly the PETS Act, which is part of the Stafford Act. It requires FEMA to provide not only for the citizenry, but for their pets in the time of a FEMA-recognized disaster. We also recognize the fact that not all disasters are going to be FEMA-recognized. There may be an apartment fire, there may be a train wreck, a gas line explosion, any number of things that don't come to the attention of FEMA where you may need to deploy a trailer. John Barber and Tim Worsler recognized very early on when I contacted them the magnitude of what they could do with this if something were to happen. We all hope that nothing will happen, but if it does, we're prepared. These trailers really are not necessarily the idea of the American Kennel Club, but some of our operations offices in Raleigh. And North Carolina has a tendency to have hurricanes. So some of our folks met with the people there and said, what do you do? And so what we ended up doing was piggybacking on their experience, and we took the trailer concept they had and expanded it to this. Then we went out to the members of the American Kennel Club delegate body and asked them to start spreading the word. So each of these trailers is a fully contained kennel for up to 65 dogs. Does not have perishables in it. You can get food or water wherever. But you can back this trailer up to a building. You can drop the ramp, roll out the carts. Everything is on carts. You can wheel it into a building, set up the crates. You can register the dogs. You can microchip the dogs. It's got hoses. It's got cleaning supplies. It literally has everything that you would find in a kennel. And you can operate from this. And if the power's out, there's a generator inside. Even the trailer itself is fully wired for electricity and lights. So that's it. This is number 2. I'm working on number 3 and 4 already for Ohio.
Tommy Dog, we just found you a new home.
Well, because of the distance and the geographics, many of the people couldn't come in the middle of the week, but these two are gracious to come along and keep me in check while we do this. So
What's
that's
something like
it.
this cost?
I'm sorry,
What do they cost to put them together?
$23,000 per trailer.
Wow.
Now, is this funded by FEMA or by
No,
your organization?
Our members.
These guys-
I'm,
Okay.
I'm an insurance agent. I went out and asked for the check. And
How many members do your groups represent?
Our club has 92 members in it.
But we, as you can see from the logos, we have that number of clubs who gave at least $1,000 toward the cost. We have other smaller clubs that didn't have much money. Now, let me mention the fact that McKinley Kennel Club here in Kent is a club to which I used to belong when I lived here. They don't have money in this trailer, but that's not because they're not supporting us. They don't have the kind of funds that we have, but the economic environment in Central Ohio is a lot different than the economic environment here. But they very much love their pets and they very much support what we're doing.
And isn't it true that this trailer will be used for other surrounding counties as
Absolutely.
well?
This
if
is,
someone has
and
the
John
need?
Barber and Tim Worsler are part of the crew that will decide that. It will not be us. If there's a declared emergency and it needs to go, they'll talk to John Barber and he'll make sure it's deployed. Now, we had the first trailer at our dog show in Columbus at the fairgrounds. John King, the dog warden, brought it down, set it up, kept it there overnight, and actually actively demonstrated it during the day to people who wanted to see it. But we had the tacit understanding that if something came up, we had to be prepared to attach that to the truck and go. So we kept the area clear around it so that we could move it out in a hurry if we needed to. Like I say, we hope we never need it, but if we need it, you're prepared now.
John, where are we gonna store this? Did we decide that? Are we gonna store
Warden's
it?
office and in the barn behind.
Yeah, it's actually in the
Inside the-
storage building.
inside
The Browns barn
Right.
behind the.
Right, it's there now, that's where it's parked in the Brown building behind our facility, so.
Well, actually, now it's in the alley, right now,
Yeah,
this
it's
moment.
downstairs.
But
Yeah,
it's all locked up and everything.
it is, it's completely secure, they made sure that, and they sent keys and it was all locked up and everything, and I gotta tell you, and Tim can certainly echo this, is that, you know, my background was in Homeland Security and Emergency Management as well as Tim's, and when the Stafford Act came out and said you had to take care of these pets, obviously, in the federal government's infinite wisdom, they didn't attach any money to that mandate. And so we struggled with that, and as John explained it, at Katrina, they literally, people died because they wouldn't leave their pets, and there was no rule to deploy those pets into find housing for them. And so you struggled. Then there was another hurricane that happened in Texas, which the Stafford Act was then allowed. And what they did is they had animal pet boxes at the train stations, at the bus stations, and when you showed up with your pet, they were able to actually transport those animals to a safe location. So, you know, they were a little more accommodating to that. But like in any other piece of equipment, if it's called upon, you know, and Tim will probably be working on that with the other counties as far as the MOUs for deployment, because it would be deployed through his office, obviously, and it would be with an MOU and an understanding of any equipment that was used, or it would be then replaced under the MOU. So.
How many times in Delaware County has it been deployed?
I'm sorry?
How many times in Delaware?
I don't know.
They just got it.
They just got
They
it.
only
Oh,
got
they
it like
just
2
got it.
months ahead of
Oh,
us. So,
okay.
but the bigger thing with these trailers as well is that it gives us an asset too to be able to use. You know, there are puppy mills obviously that exist in this area as well as in Holmes County and surrounding counties. And there has been situations where they've been raided and they've had to be able to remove those dogs and cats even, and for hoarding situations. This would give them a place to be able to actually deploy these 65 kennels, be able to maintain these animals for 3 days until they could find a more permanent housing in an emergency situation.
I should mention that I spent this past Saturday in Orlando working on the AKC Disaster Relief trailer display at the AKC National Championship Dog Show. And I can tell you, first of all, that pavement doesn't get any softer when you stand on it for 8 hours. But secondly, I was stunned at the number of people who really didn't quite understand the trailers. They thought that, they were disappointed that it wasn't a whole kennel, that you just simply open the door and put dogs in the crates. We also found out we have 39 of these deployed now in just 2 years. We have 12 more that we're getting ready to deploy, that they're being built right now. Each one's built individually, and each one is stocked individually, and everything in those trailers, as John can probably attest, is very high quality.
It is, and even the kennels are all collapsible. The hoses, there's, you know, the ability to disinfect them, obviously, and clean them to return them back to service and that type of stuff. I have to say, and I've, you know, put together these types of emergency response vehicles, as Tim has as well. There was some, very clearly, there was thought put into these when they were deployed, and they are, they carry all the means to deploy and everything you would need in a disaster and an emergency situation. So.
Tim?
One of the things that prompted us also to look at this type of resource was, I don't know if you remember, it's been several years ago, about 6 years ago, we had to evacuate the dog warden's office because of potential flooding. It got up to the front door, and overnight, all the lower cages, we evacuated the animals up to Summit County, and I believe some to Portage County. That was the first step for us trying to figure out just even how we take care of ourselves. So this provides that resource also. So it helps us with the community type disasters, but also even our own, should there be some type of incident in our own facility. We had the same thing with the convoy container fire, where potentially we were gonna have to maybe move those animals. Situations where this could house our entire dog warden's office if it needed to.
Well, we thank John and Tim, we thank you for your work on this. This is a great thing for our county. And gentlemen, John and Joe, we thank you very, very much for this. Brad, I would like to have a brief on the law behind completed gift.
We'll have that before the meeting's over.
And we thought what we would do, though, we would take a brief recess and go down and together you can show us the trailer, and we would appreciate that. And from then you can continue on, but we will finish the rest of our meeting. Thank you for purposes of record, we thank you so very, very much.
Very much.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome for all of us.
Thank you. Extremely generous gift. Thank you.
No, we don't, no,
We don't
need to
vote on
vote
this.
on that. Already voted prior.
We are part. It is 2:03 p.m. We're going to take a brief recess to look at the pet disaster relief trailer in the back alley, and then we will reconduct our meeting.